Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So I know the game week hasn't finished because Leeds vs Everton are playing tonight, but I've actually had all my players play, so I've already got the points that I'm going to get. So I thought I'd go over my side and how they got on in game week 1, and then look forward to game week 2 and what my transfer plans are, what I'm thinking, just ahead of game week 2 deadline on Friday. So first of all, let's have a look at how my side got on in game week 1. So in goal I had Sanchez and Dubravka. Sanchez kept a clean sheet, he got 7 points. It could have been a little bit different. Chelsea did concede, but then VAR stepped in and disallowed Eze's goal. On another day, that could have not given disallowed and he could have been sat there with 1-2 points, but instead he's got 7 points, which I'm happy about. So into defence, and I've got Williams, Porro, Anderson, Agbadou and Steve. I actually got Agbadou for Richards close to the deadline and that hasn't worked out. Agbadou conceded 4 goals, so he got 0 points against Man City, and Richards kept a clean sheet against Chelsea. I didn't think Richards would keep a clean sheet or Crystal Palace would keep a clean sheet. As a Chelsea fan, I thought we'd score 1 or 2, but Crystal Palace showed us that they've got a solid defence. I am a little bit worried of what Crystal Palace will look like if Matt Guéhi does leave before the deadline, how much that changes them, because he's the leader, the captain for them. So I'm probably going to wait until game week 4 to make that decision of maybe going back to a Crystal Palace defender. I'm not that upset about Agbadou Richards swap. Yes, ideally I'd rather have Richards and have the points, but I also would have just sat on my bench anyway. So it would have been 6 points but was sat on my bench, so I wouldn't have got the points anyway. We'll move forward to the next one. Williams and Anderson didn't keep a clean sheet. They both conceded 1 goal, which was a bit frustrating. Williams could have gotten an assist, and then Burnley didn't keep a clean sheet, so them 2 players on the bench didn't really pick up any points. Porro got himself a clean sheet against Burnley, which we were all really expecting. I did expect him to get more attacking returns in that game. He was a little bit threatening, but he wasn't as much as I thought he would be. And when you spent 5.5 million on him, do we actually just downgrade him to a Van der Ven and save yourself $1 million? That's going to be a question I'm going to be thinking about in the next few weeks, but for right now we got 6 points. I'm not going to be looking to sell him just yet. So up to now I've got 16 points in into midfield. I've got Salah, he got 8 points. He got himself a goal very late on. Everybody that didn't have him or wasn't captaining him was actually laughing, thinking, why did you get him? We knew this. And then Salah did what he always does. He always gets a goal or a return in the first game week. It wasn't the best of games for him. Rodgers and Aston Villa basically didn't have the best of games. Got himself 3 points because he kept a clean sheet, but other than that, they wasn't really that good attacking wise, but I'm not going to write them off just yet. 1 game, he could do better the next game. Palmer, again, Chelsea, I expected him to score goals, but they wasn't the best of games, but I do think I'm not going to write them off just yet. Same with Bruno Fernandes, 9 million. He was close to getting to the DEFCON points, but do we really want him 9 million player for a DEFCON points? Not really. And then last of all, we've got REIJNDERS. I bought him on deadline day. I was planning to buy him. Yeah, I was actually impressed with what he did. A goal and assist, didn't get bonus points for it, but he was really attacking, and I think he's probably more nailed into getting to the side now. I was a little bit apprehensive if he would actually stay in the side, but after that performance I don't think he'll be dropped just yet, so yeah, I'm happy with him. And then last of all we've got the forwards, and I've got Pedro, Watkins and Gui. I wasn't impressed with Chelsea, as I've said, so Pedro is a bit somebody that I'm looking at. I don't really want to buy somebody that keeps getting subbed off. I think we was all worried about that, but my plan was maybe have him for game week 1, 2, 3. Hopefully he scores a few goals, and then I'm ship him onto somebody that's a bit more assured of playing 90-minute games and actually scoring goals. If he scores against West Ham in the next game, I'll probably stop worrying about him and probably keep him for game week 3, but if he doesn't score then there might be a question of maybe selling Pedro and getting somebody else. When you got somebody like Chris Wood that's assured of getting minutes all the time, and he's somebody that always lethal in front of goal, I'm looking at myself thinking, why did I not actually get Chris Wood, and why did I doubt him? But then again, Pedro's got 5 goals for Chelsea already, so I think he's still somebody that will actually get goals, so I'm not going to write him off. And same again, like I said, with Rodgers, with Watkins. Aston Villa didn't look that great. I think they only managed to get 1 shot on target all game, so it wasn't that great, but it was against Newcastle, and we know that Newcastle are a solid side. And the main worry right now in the forward line is Gui. It's not really a massive problem because he's worth 4.5 million, so it's not really a player that's really costing me that much money, and I did expect him to sit on my bench most of the time, but with Sunderland scoring 2 goals and 2 of the forwards scoring, he didn't even come onto the pitch. The likeliness of him to start in the next game against Burnley is very unlikely. My plan was to potentially start him in the second game if he got some minutes in the first game, but I don't think he'll get minutes. I don't really want to pick him for the second game and then him not actually start and then come on for a couple of minutes and only get 1 point. I'd rather pick somebody that's actually going to play 60-70 minutes, so other players will probably go ahead of him on the bench. So as you can see, I'm on 46 points, but I actually captained Salah, so that doubled up to 54 points. I got 54 points, which isn't the best, but it isn't the worst. I try and get an average of 60 points every game week. That's my target. I always want to try and get over, and I look out counted up all my points that I got last season, I got an average of 68 points every game week, which means that I have to actually get a bit more, but that's not factoring in all the chips that I use, like free hit and assistant manager and triple captain, which would help me get even bigger points in them game weeks. And then we have the double game week fixtures where we have a lot of players playing twice, so we actually have like 100 points them game weeks, so that helps the average go up a bit more than normal. So I am actually trying to just get 60 points as an average. So all in all, I'm 6 points behind the target that I actually wanted to get, but all in all, I'm not that unhappy. My team didn't do that well, let's be honest. There's only 3 players that actually did something. Well, 4 players: Sanchez, Porro, Salah and Reinders, and Salah was the one that scored a really late goal. Porro and Sanchez kept clean sheets, which was just something that you sometimes you get, sometimes you don't. And then there's Reinders that actually helped propel me a bit further than normal because a lot of people haven't got him. So that is the only ones where I'm looking at and thinking I've got a massive gain. Salah captained, and I think a lot of people captain and a lot of people don't, so I didn't really get much off him. So there we have it for my game week 1 review. I'm going to look at my players in detail and give you a bit of understanding of what I'm thinking about these players, because these players, if they keep disappointing, then I will look to sell them and be on the chopping block, but they have to let me down a bit more than they have already for me to use one of my transfers on one of them. So here's my exit rankings. We've got sell, at risk, monitor and keep. Nobody's actually in the selling at risk at the moment. I don't think game week 1 has made me feel like I need to sell any of them. Some of the players have actually gone into monitor just because what has happened with them. Chelsea didn't look as great. I don't think that's going to be something that's going to happen very often. I think Chelsea are going to turn it around and actually do all right the next game, so they probably will go back onto keep. There is a lot of good players at 7.5 that could go in for Pedro, and there's a good few players that can downgrade in PALMER and now save some money. If they don't do that well the next game week, that could happen. And then we've got GW2. Wolves conceded 4 goals against Manchester City. I know that's a really hard fixture anyway, and a lot of teams will concede a few goals against Manchester City, but when you've got a lot of options at 4.5 million, if somebody's not keeping a lot of clean sheets or not getting the DEFCONs, then they become an opportunity to potentially sell. And then next we've got Bruno Fernandes. I'm not really looking to sell him just right now, it's just a monitor, but at 9 million, again, like Watkins and Rodgers at the prices that they are, you could buy somebody that's a lot cheaper. And then we've got Anderson that's potentially getting sold if he doesn't step up a little bit more, but he could easily jump back into keep, and then the other ones in keep are likely to stay. The ones to the left of this monitor are more likely to go into at risk than the others, but they could jump up just depending on if they don't start, they don't play that well, they get injured, they could jump into at sell that quickly. And then we've got a short list of the players that have impressed me or they've been in my eyes. So we've got Petrovic and Sells that have stayed in there. Petrovic obviously conceded a few goals against Liverpool, but I think Bournemouth's fixtures turn around, and I think if he's going to have a lot of shots taken on him, he's potentially getting a lot of save points. So Petrovic is somebody that's still on my eyesight, and I'm going to keep a monitor on him. And then into defence, we've got Munoz, Van der Ven, Richards and Guehi. They've always been on my thought process. I did actually have Richards right up until deadline, and then I actually swapped him very late on. I think Richards is still somebody that I want to potentially get, or Mark Guehi. If he goes to Liverpool, then he could be a potential buy. If he stays at Crystal Palace, then I could go for Richards. If Porro's not doing that well, Munoz could come in, or if I don't want Porro long term, and I think it's a bit too much, I could go downgrade him, Van der Ven, and save a bit of money. But it does feel like you're sideways moving a little bit because you're still getting a player from the same side, so you are saving money, but I'm not too sure about that just yet. It just feels a little bit silly at the moment. And then we've got Truffett that's new onto my shortlist. He did impress me, and at 4.5 million with the fixtures that I've said with Bournemouth, he could be somebody that I could buy at 4.5 million. Then we've got Semenyo, who scored 2 goals against Liverpool. He looked really good. Can't buy him for Rodgers for 1 transfer because he's gone up 0.1 million. I don't really want to do that anyway, but Semenyo is somebody that I've looked at and thought, yeah. Anderson and Wirtz have stayed on there. Wirtz, and the other player that's jumped into my shortlist of potentially buying in midfield is Gakpo. He looked really good. He cut in and scored on his right foot. And with Liverpool selling Diaz, Gakpo could be really good for a starting position at 7.5 million. He could be really good and get a lot of goals. Just uncertain about his game time in the past. If he guarantees you game time, top side like Liverpool, he could be a really good option that we'll go and buy. Then we've got in the forward line 3 new players that have jumped into my shortlist. It's Ekitike. I wasn't too sure about him at the start just because I just wanted to wait and see what he looked like, but I watched that first game and he looked really good, so he's jumped into my shortlist. I won't be running out to go and buy him, but if Watkins doesn't impress again, and he does impress, I can downgrade And even if he goes up to 8.7 million, I'm still saving a little bit of money and selling Watkins for him. Chris Wood, he's still at 7.5 million. I think he'll go up before the deadline, so he'll be 7.6, so I can't make that one easy switch from him to João Pedro, and I'm going to give João Pedro another game week against West Ham because I think that's a good fixture for Chelsea, so I'm going to stick with him. I am a little bit worried with João Pedro, I'll be honest, because Delap came on and looked really good, and I won't be surprised if against the West Ham side maybe he starts Delap and João Pedro doesn't start, so I am a little bit worried about that. And then the last player on my shortlist that's new is Thiago. Brentford got a penalty and he was the one that took it and scored it, and then at 6 million, that's a really good price to pay for somebody that's on penalties. I'm not 100% sure I do want to go there just yet. I want to maybe see a few more game weeks and see how he gets on, but Brentford players, striker wise, have been really good for us in the past few seasons. The likes of Tony Wissa and then Mbeumo in midfield, who's just gone to United, so he could take up the mantelpiece of actually being that player for Brentford. It isn't the same team as last season, obviously, because Thomas Franks and Mbeumo's left and Wissa's potentially going to leave, so it opens up the door for Thiago to be a key player for them. He was actually signed for quite a lot of money and he got injured. I think he would have had a good chance of playing last season if he didn't get injured, so he's somebody that I'm looking at. Evan Nielsen, just because of the fixtures, he didn't have a game where I feel like he impressed me much, but he was on my shortlist before, and with the fixtures turning, I don't think I should take him off it just yet, so I'm just keeping my eye on him. And then lastly, we've got Haaland. It's Haaland, isn't it? We all ideally would love to have Haaland and Salah in the side. We just can't afford them both, and with Salah getting a point for clean sheets and things like that, that's the point where we usually go over to Salah over Haaland. Salah usually scores all the time and gets goals and assists just like Haaland, and we had to make a decision. And if he keeps scoring, we'll have to some way find a way to crowbar him into our side, if that's to sell Palmer and Fernandes and make way with them players to buy Haaland, so be it. But for right now, he's not into my side. I expect him to score goals. It's not a case of that. I do expect him to score goals. It's just more when you're trying to build a squad that's balanced and you're not just making it out of two players and then you're just cutting corners on everybody else. I'm a bit worried if Haaland and Salah in the same side, if they both don't score, what do you get from all your other squad? If you save the money on Haaland and get somebody else, you can usually buy a lot better players, but we will see. If he keeps doing well, he'll stay on my shortlist and then potentially have to be crowbarred in. So lastly, let's have a look at my Gameweek 2 side and how I'm lining up at the moment and what my plans are. My plan was actually to bench Porro this game week before this week happened, and I was going to play Agabadu, but Agabadu and Wolves didn't impress me much that I'm thinking, why do I bench Porro? There's still a bit of an attacking threat from Porro at Tottenham, and City could concede goals and Porro could be that player that sets them up. I think Tottenham looked pretty good against Burnley, so I think they could still do something against Man City. And then on the bench we've got Anderson. He was always going to be on my bench this game week. I feel like I have to play Steve. I don't really want to double up and get Dubravka in my side. I was going to do that, but West Ham didn't look that good as well as Chelsea in the first game week, so I think Chelsea could keep another clean sheet. I don't really want to double up on a Burnley defence and then them concede against Sunderland. Sunderland looked pretty good the first game week, so yeah, that's the plan with that. Anderson is first on my bench. He's got United, and then we've got Gui. I've put him in third on my bench just because I don't think he'll start. I think he'll come on for a cameo appearance and that'll be 1 point. I don't really want to start him or put him as my first on the bench. I'd rather have them two defenders come into my side that'll probably get 2 points at a minimum. Maybe if they concede goals, they'll probably get 1 point, but I'd rather have that. There's more chance of getting DEFCON points now, so they could potentially get concede but also get 2-3 points, so I'd rather that. So yeah, Anderson is first on my bench and then Agabadu. My plan right now is to roll the transfer and try and hold out and not make a transfer just yet because I haven't got much of an idea if the transfers are going to be better or worse. Yes, I picked João Pedro and I am a little bit worried, but at the same time I could sell him and then he could score 2 goals and I'm worried that that will happen. So yeah, I'm still thinking about potentially just rolling, as much as I do think there is a few areas in my side that I'm a bit unhappy about. I planned this squad and I had to think about it, and I got this side, so I'm going to try and stick with it a little bit more. So lastly, just before I do finish this video, I'm so close to getting 200 subscribers, so if you are watching this, please hit the subscribe button and help me get to that milestone. It would be massively appreciated, and hopefully Chelsea win on the same night. Captains wise, just before I do finish, I'm not sure who I want to captain. Salah is Salah, so I'll probably go on into him just because I think he's the more likely to get goals and assists, but there is Palmer. But my worry is I had Salah on Friday night and it was a bit of a stressful one because if he didn't have a goal in the back end of the game, I would have had a really bad start to the game week and I would have been worrying all the way through the game week. So do I really want to put Palmer on that? And if he don't score, then I'm worried all game week that all the players are going to outscore him. So I'm thinking he's potentially just doing Salah because he's a bit more assured of goals at the moment. And Palmer's only scored one in-play goal this calendar year in the Premier League. Yes, he's scored a few in the Club World Cup, but I'm a bit worried about captaining him at the moment, as much as I really like him. Obviously, a Chelsea fan, yeah, the trust in Salah is obviously there, so I think it'll be Captain Salah. Let me know in the comment section if you think I've got any of this wrong or you want any of my help. I'm here to listen to you guys, and the aim is to get 20 likes on this video, so if you did like this video, hit the like button. Anyway, I'm signing off, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.